At Turning Point USA's 2019 Student Action Summit, we sit down with conservative political commentator Rob Smith to discuss the black vote in 2020 and why he thinks the socialist mindset is harmful. Rob Smith, great to have you on American Thought Leaders.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
So Rob, we were talking offline a little bit.
Yes.
And I have to ask you, what's it like being a black conservative?
What's it like being a black conservative? It's getting better. I don't think it's ever going to be an easy thing, but what I see now, honestly, is there is a coalition and a community of us. You've got Angela Stanton King, you've got Brandon Tatum, you've got King Face, you've got Brandon Tatum, you've got all these different people that come to black conservative ideas from a different place. And I think the more of us there are, the more successful we'll be. So for me, I think it's a very exciting time to be a black conservative. I'm not the type of guy that wallows around in victimhood or says that, oh, those mean black people are calling me a coon or an Uncle Tom or any of these other things. I think it's very exciting because I think that what black conservatives are doing right now is going to change the course of the history of this country. And that's an exciting place to be in.
So, okay, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Because we're seeing these polls, and I see a lot of people sort of trumpeting these polls. The support for the president is kind of grown significantly
Yes.
among black Americans. I think I've seen over 30%.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a while back, I think it was pre-2018 election, there was a similar phenomenon, but it didn't really translate into votes.
Yeah.
That's my recollection,
Yeah.
right? Are these polls even real? Like, what
Okay.
is your feeling?
So my feeling is that this is something that people should be excited about now. And I know the polls that you're referencing. So there were two different polls. I believe one of them was Quinnipiac and one of them was Emerson College. And they both said had black Trump support at about 34 and 34.5% respectively. Now, do I think that Trump's going to get 35% of the black vote in 2020? No. Okay, so that's probably not going to happen. But when you look at the numbers and when you look at the fact that he got 8% of the black vote in 2016, I do believe that there will be probably 12 to 15%. And the difference between now and 2016 or even 2018 is that you have some very strong messaging that's about results. So the Trump administration can come back to the African American community and actually give them results. They can say, not only the historically low black unemployment, we talk about that a lot, which is an amazing thing. It's amazing that unemployment is low for all Americans. But for African Americans specifically, you can point to the First Step Act, which is the most comprehensive criminal justice reform in a generation. You can point to the fact that the lives of so many black men and women who served decades for nonviolent drug offenses are now better because of this president. You can point to the funding for historically black colleges and universities that is now more available to them under this administration than it was in the previous administration. So I think that you're going to see more black votes because you have more results. And I was talking to somebody in the administration, you cannot get what the left is doing right now, what the Democrats are doing is they're trying to get votes based on fear, based on lies, and based on ideas. And I do not believe that you can get votes based on anything but results. And they have results to show.
Well, so are you in a position to be able to, like, I guess, sense in the black community? I don't know what your community looks like. That's why I'm asking. But in certain communities that I've encountered, people are telling me, we're working.
Yeah.
Like, there's people, like, there's this feeling of prosperity and so forth. Is that exist in the black community? Are you in a position to gauge that?
I mean, I'm not a community organizer. Like, I wouldn't be in a position to gauge that. But what I will say is that, I was outed as a Republican at my barbershop because my barber caught me on Fox News. And then we got into a really in-depth conversation about how different his life looks now because of these policies that help small business owners.
Okay, interesting.
And so you see a lot of more people right now that are working, and you see African American men in particular are more likely to be small business owners, are more likely to have their own businesses, are more likely to employ people, so they're more likely to be seeing the positive benefits of this administration. And that's what I see. There is an overwhelming sense of prosperity. And if this sense of prosperity wasn't there, then you wouldn't have the Democrats basically focusing on lies in order to get votes. They can't talk about the economy because the economy is wonderful. The black unemployment rate was historically high under the Obama. You were talking 18.4%. And I'm working on a book right now, and one of the things that I put in the book was that the former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus said that under President Obama, he knew that these black leaders, quote unquote leaders, wouldn't hold his feet to the fire at an 18.4% black unemployment rate because of who he was. And so when we're going from that to what we are now, which is historically low, that is a very good thing for America. It's a very good thing for African Americans. It's a very good thing for all Americans.
No, absolutely. What a big topic that you go into, and indeed you went into here on stage, is socialism.
Yes.
You don't think very highly of it.
No, I don't. I think socialism sucks. I think that, like I said in my speech, I think the idea of socialism is very insidious. Number one, there are a lot of millennials, myself included, that made very poor choices going into the recession. There are millennials that took out tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt to get liberal arts degrees. There are millennials who thought that they would play the corporate game, who were not entrepreneurs, who thought that somebody else was going to take care of them, and now that blew up in their face, they want student loan debt forgiveness. They want this idea of socialism. They want this idea that people that are successful owe them something, that they haven't worked for themselves. And I think that is a fundamentally destructive idea to the fabric of our country. And I say this not as somebody that's come from wealth. I say this not as a rich kid. I say this as a first-generation college kid from Ohio. I say this as somebody who served for 5 years and who served in Iraq. I say this as somebody who basically really did start from the bottom, and I'm still building myself up, that when you start engendering the idea and when you start promoting the idea that millionaires are bad, that capitalism is bad, that people who have created jobs and that have built wealth and created wealth for themselves are bad, and that the only way to level the playing field is for people to hate those people and to take something from them and give it to people that haven't earned it, I think it's fundamentally destructive. And I think that socialism is a loser idea. It's a loser idea for losers. I can't be any more clear than that.
So, here, I think the argument that, let's say rational people, I'm not talking about, people that are sort of categorically, ideologically, I must have, it's just, some people have it easier in life because of where they started, right? So it's not fair for everybody, right? So why shouldn't we make it fair for everybody?
Well, it's the idea about what is fair. That's the idea. And it speaks back to a victimhood mindset. It may not be fair in life that, let's say, it may not be fair that I was raised in a single parent household. It may not be fair that that I was the first person in my entire family to go to college and I had to learn everything about going to college and navigating the world by myself. That's not fair. And maybe it's not fair that somebody else had more things than I had in life or more opportunity. But I feel like America is the great equalizer. There are people that immigrate to America legally from other places, and it blows their mind the kind of prosperity and opportunity that we have here. And when you put people in what I call this socialist mindset, that they cannot create, that they cannot be entrepreneurs, that they can't put their name on something, that they can't eventually be in a place to hire somebody, then socialism is the answer for them, but they're going to find that that's not a good answer. And think about the people that we have advocating for this right now. Think about AOC, who votes for a pay raise for herself so that tax dollars can pay her an even higher salary than she makes right now, because apparently $175,000 a year is not enough for her. Think about Bernie Sanders, who owns multiple homes and is a multimillionaire who rails against millionaires and billionaires. Think about Elizabeth Warren, who waited until she was a multimillionaire many times over to transition from Republican to Democrat, and now all of a sudden she hates millionaires and billionaires. So when you look at the people that are advocating for these messages, you realize that they are not being truthful. And they're being very duplicitous in their messages. And I think that people are starting to understand this.
One of the things, just thought of this as you were talking, you know, pick any sort of book on entrepreneurship or even on like, you know, self-help, right? They all talk about one thing, I think. Yeah. All of them, or maybe most of them. It's you have to kind of own it.
Yes.
If you don't own it, if you don't take complete responsibility, irrespective of the external circumstances, whatever it is, you're not going to make it.
Yeah,
you have to have that, right? So but this whole victim idea, right? See, it juxtaposes against that reality because it feels like it would handicap people from being able to.
It does, because like, look, life is gonna. I've got a book coming out next year, and I think that a lot of people don't really know about my story, and they will learn when this book comes out. But there's a decision that you can make in life when you go through adversity, and the decision is, do I take responsibility for my part in this, or do I blame somebody else? And I think that when you continue to blame other people, when you blame external sources, when you blame the billionaires, when you blame the millionaires, when you blame all of these other people and don't take responsibility, you can never be fully realized as an entrepreneur, as an American, as anybody that's going to be successful. And you have a lot of people right now that like to blame everybody else instead of taking responsibility for themselves. I was doing long before I became a conservative, I was doing some internet show, and there was a small business owner, he's a young black man. And I think that this, looking back at it, I'm pretty sure this person was conservative leaning. And, you know, my lefty self was asking him, well, don't you think that it's, you know, the responsibility of these people to help out? He said, look, brother, I'm good no matter who's in the White House. Like, I'm going to be good because I'm an entrepreneur and I make this for myself. And now when I look back to that conversation, like, I wasn't ready to receive that message, but now I'm like, that's what he was talking about. And that's how I go through life. And you have to, because there is no other way.
Okay. Powerful place to end.
Yes.
Rob Smith, such a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.